Alright man, everybody has a weakness. And each of these teams in today's videos has a weakness that we'll be covering and delving into with, how fixable or serious said problem is. Each of the problems found were issues I saw after watching each of these teams. And generally I usually watch teams for about 5 games or so before I ever do a video on them full games throughout this NBA season. I've been taking notes on each of these squads to create a quick breakdown of every team's biggest weakness. Now, before we get started, I definitely want to thank the subs, man, for always supporting. We're trying out 2K visual content on current video topics. We're just trying it out for right now, see how you guys like it. While old ones, old topics like Kobe versus LeBron, that kind of stuff, we will use NBA content. But right now, due to some copyright issues I've been getting hit with, some of my subscribers in different regions can't see the videos. They've emailed me about it. So on evergreen topics like the Kobe versus LeBron video that are going to stand the test of time forever, I will use NBA content so you can see the difference in real play. But for the current everyday topics, I will be using NBA 2K as a visual backdrop. Now definitely, if you're new, click that subscribe button and the bell next to it to stay up to date on the newest videos. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. All right, let's get it. All right, to start, we'll be going from the bottom of the East to the top, and starting off at the bottom. Now we're here. It is the New York Knickerbockers. All right, man. Quite frankly, the Knicks, they have a huge issue with the coaching. That man is joking. All right, and especially their pick and roll defense. Where quite frankly, I watched about 3 games specifically where they had a lead just get blown off the, just blown because they didn't know how to properly switch on pick and rolls. New York has allowed the 4th most drives this season, and opponents are converting on those drives into points at the highest field goal percentage of any team in the league. Now, while the Knicks, they are giving decent effort on overall, if you see their offense, they have some energy there. This shows a lack of coaching to ensure the team understands how to switch properly, as well as them having, Cantor earlier in the year, who was known for his Olay defense. And this is a fixable problem for the Knicks, because defense is effort and a strategy that you can always hang your hat on. Now, moving on to the Cavs literally have a gaping hole at the forward position, and we all know why, the absence of LeBron James. But with the absence of Kevin Love, the Cavs have really suffered, because not only have they lost LeBron this past summer, but also a post scorer that can stretch the floor and get an efficient, just be an efficient spacer / star player that can open up lanes for Colin Sexton to stretch his legs. Now, the Cavs have been quietly spending $34 million+ to acquire 8 draft picks in the last 8 months, so definitely look out for that in the future years. The Chicago Bulls, they're 13th in the East and literally bought a toy that the Milwaukee Bucks had no interest in keeping. I don't know why, in Jabari Parker, and had that man sitting on the bench before trading him. Now, I will asterisk the Bulls because their weakness was sort of fixed in a way with their new small ball lineup of Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Wayne Selden Jr., Otto Porter, and Lauri Markkanen. Now, while most teams, you will notice that the defense at the bottom of the list, while most teams will notice that defense is the issue, this may work for them to keep them more versatile, mobile, athletic, for now, to keep them competitive and somewhat respectable to finish out the season. In Atlanta, the Hawks, they have the simple issue of Trae Young being a rookie and doing what rookies do, which is go through the growing pains. All right, Trae is putting up just way too many shots from outside. I know it seems like I'm overstating it at 5, but the reason I'm saying that is because that takes away opportunities for his teammates when he is actually a good penetrator who finishes well inside the arc. Now, he's shooting 31% from the 3-point line, and that's not good enough to be taking the amount of threes that he takes, which is 5 3-point attempts per game. Now, he could still get these amount of threes off. It's just his decision-making on taking them has to be better. With Atlanta, they're in rebuild mode, and until he starts seeing the game in slow-mo, like his high draft pick status should, indicate that he will become, it's gonna come with more experience. All right, he has the skills to, just to slow it down. He's got to slow it down. He's a much better passer than what he's showing for right now. And as the Hawks, they're playing with the #1 pace in the league, and they got to slow the game down until Trae evolves. Now, the Orlando Magic have a weakness right now of having no wing players that are highly skilled. All right, it's no disrespect, but while Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier, look, man, they are nice wings that can play and get a bucket at decent rates. Their wings don't scare teams enough to give Vucevic a lot of space to work. This also comes down to their point guard play as well. The Magic don't have an elite starting point guard that can control the pace at a high level. Now, DJ Augustine, he's a great backup point guard on a playoff caliber team, but he's not a starter. All right, Orlando trading for Markelle Fultz could probably be the catalyst for this Orlando experience that we've been waiting on to combust. Now, in the nation's capital, I just did a video on these boys, and what we're seeing is utterly just chaotic. All right, Bradley Beal has been putting up some all-star numbers, man. It's good that he got selected for the all-star team, but it just doesn't matter because Washington's issue is that they're not great or good at anything. All right, they are the walking definition of middle of the pack. Without John Wall and Dwight Howard, the Wizards have slid out of the playoff picture, and currently, they're on the outside looking. All right, they are 29th in defensive rating. That should speak for itself. And at best, offensively, they're 15th in offensive rating. And just being honest, man, not even trying to hate, but John Wall's contract is a major Achilles heel for making any moves to improve, and this is why they're currently in their rebuild stage. With the Detroit Pistons, we got to go ahead and call it, man, we got to call it a spade, a spade. In the hospital, sometimes you got to call it and, and pronounce the time of death. And with this team, I'll say what it needs to be said, God dang it, man. Andre Drummond is just a waste of money. All right, it's that simple. There, I said it. Reggie Jackson, this man dribbles the ball way too dang much, man. It's just, he's content being an average point guard as long as he starts, man. Andre Drummond gets paid $25.4 million, and this man shoots 55% from the free throw line. This is a guy we have to remember who has made no real strides in his game since 2015, and it looks like, he's in what I call I call this the shadow realm. All right, I call it, these are players basically who have secured the bag and plateaued ever so conveniently after dudes got their contracts. All right, now dudes in the shadow realm, because they play purely for a check. There's no passion, there's no life, no need to get better. It's like they're dead. All right, now Detroit, they have the right coach in Dwayne Casey, who I covered in the summer, and he called out all of these issues that the Pistons would definitely have, and I do believe that Detroit is trying to do everything possible to move Reggie and Andre after this season. But trust me, those are your two biggest problems right now. Yes, they are. Don't let Andre Drummond's rebounds and all that stuff fool you. That is not helpful to the team right now. He is not doing what he's supposed to do. Now, Miami, especially Reggie Jackson as well. Now, Miami, they have issues with Whiteside's contract, which hindered them from making improvements, as well as Goran Dragic getting his payday. The Heat are very weird, however, because on this list, they are the first team to not really get grilled purely for their defense, because they have the third best opponent's points per game in the league. However, they are 26th in offense in the league in terms of their production. Now, this stems from Josh Richardson, who is honestly, just look, he's a great 3-and-D player, but he cannot be a #1 scorer on this team. That's just not his game. All right, Whiteside has been shown to be very pouty and a lot like a diva, and he's just another player that's in the shadow realm, man, where once he secured the bag, all of a sudden he didn't care about his 2K rating going up anymore. Tyler Johnson, Goran Dragic, and Hassan Whiteside are basically why Miami will not be making any moves for a couple years due to horrible contracts. Now, the Charlotte Hornets, to be quite frank, they lack a big man who is versatile and can handle himself down low enough to stick with the the JVs, the Gasols, the Griffins, the Vucevic's, the Lopez's, the Embiid's. And they just have decent wings and a great point guard. However, despite the popularity of having no bigs, you need a good big if you don't have the Golden State lineup. While shocking the world, the Nets' biggest issue would be their lack of low post scoring. And basically, as well as that, the DeMar Carroll / Allen Crabbe, just ridiculous contract pairing. Now, DeMar is shooting 39% from the field, and this man Allen Crabbe is shooting about 35.5%, and both of them make $18.5 million and $15.4 million apiece. Now, the only good thing about this is that DeMar Carroll, this man's contract expires this year, which they could use to re-sign D'Lo or help sign a big-time free agent if they, and if they trade Allen Crabbe, because Allen Crabbe's contract goes through the next year as well, and pair him with Dinwiddie somewhere else, they could really free up some cap space potentially. But one thing that's for sure is that, look, man, the Brooklyn that we thought was going to show up, they are not playing that game this year. They have shown up to play, and I have to say this as well, Brooklyn, they gotta chill with giving guys like these big extensions or even just taking them on. Now, the Boston Celtics have to honestly be the most interesting team on this list due to their potential and their current positioning. Now, the Celtics issues go deeper than basketball. You hear dudes always talk about that, something that's deeper than rap BS, man. It goes deeper than basketball with this. And if you watch, yo, man, it's clear that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum would love more prominent roles in the offense. Their biggest weakness in that locker room is the locker room chemistry, because there's a lot of speculation that Boston doesn't need Kyrie. And personally, I believe that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown do want that smoke. I don't think they're ready for it, but I do think they want that smoke. And I think they want to have a chance to play to become all-stars. That in itself, along with Terry Rozier wanting to prove himself as well for a role somewhere else or there, it makes it tough to believe that Boston will put it all together, put their differences aside and pull it all together and do what everyone knows they're capable of, which is making a run at the Warriors. Now, Philly, while strapped up, they must face the real, very real issue of Ben Simmons' lack of shooting ability. All right. Now, we saw this the other night. We saw this last night. This man, LeBron, was super disrespectful. He's been doing exactly what all smart teams do with this man. They just sag off. You know, 2K, you switch it to sag off. You just sag off. And if I'm in any team playing him in the playoffs, man, I'm going to do to him what OKC did to Giannis, which is to sag off and box him out of the paint to keep him away from rebounds and even the possibility of getting it around the rim and to get his mojo working. All right, making him a non-factor would stifle Philly's offense and is the major Achilles heel of this team, despite their upgrades at the power forward spot with Tobias Harris, because then everyone else will be able to play their man tight, close, and help easier, because Ben Simmons is such an offensive liability from outside the paint. Now, the Pacers, they're strange as well, because look, man, they have truly been overachieving this year, similar to the Nets, but just at a higher clip. You know, staying in the third spot despite Victor Oladipo going down with injury, and with the #2 ranked defensive rating, man, that's just sick. I have to give them credit. That's just effort and going out there and being dogs. And a 16 ranked offensive rating. They are extremely similar to the Miami Heat in defensive prowess. Their biggest weakness is that, look, man, due to an absence and a lack of a creator on offense at this moment, I have seen an over-reliance on the three-point shot. Now, they made 19 three-pointers the other night, and no single player had more than 4 threes made, you know, which shows there was a balanced attack. However, this style won't work for the playoffs, because guys are going to be closing out faster, they're going to be playing you up tighter, there's going to be more effort. I won't knock them because they are without their best player, and they're still playing winning basketball, so credit to them. Up in the North, the Raptors have cooled down from their super hot start to the season. And, you know, look, man, they have been tested. And I still have them picked to come out of the East. And for the Raptors, I have to keep it a buck and say it. All right? I believe their biggest potential, I repeat, potential weakness is Kyle Lowry. And here's why. Kyle Lowry is the wild card for this Raptors team because he is the facilitator. And if he's not playing well, there is no shot that the rest of the team will play well, because he is responsible for facilitating the show. Now, while, you know, Kawhi, Danny Green, they have improved the Raptors, and Marc Gasol signing with them definitely helps them as well. The biggest factor for the Raptors' success will be how Kyle Lowry plays against the Malcolm Brogdons, the Eric Bledsoes. Eric Bledsoe. That man got embarrassed by Scary Terry last year. He's going to have to play against the Ben Simmonses of the world, and he's also going to have to, of course, face Mr. Kyrie Irving. Now, with the recent signings of Nikola Mirotic and in Milwaukee, they just look to close in on an MVP caliber season for Greek Freak, as well as a deep playoffs run. Now, but what if I told you that Greek Freak was also low-key their biggest weakness from a playoff standpoint? If you want to see what I'm talking about, go watch the OKC game. Look at how they shut him down. Look at how Boston contained him in last year's playoffs. Not saying they're turning him into a non-factor. It's just the formula to stop the Bucks is to box out Greek Freak and force him to become a shooter. All right, he and Ben Simmons received the same game plan in last year in the playoffs versus Boston, and I saw how OKC improved on that game plan in their matchup this year. And if Greek can't somewhat stretch the floor, then the Bucks have no shot to eliminate Philly or Toronto or Boston. A slim shot, but not much. Now, while I believe that Milwaukee has developed a much improved system from last year, thanks to Coach Budenholzer, there is no question history has shown you that you need to at least be able to knock down a shot from outside to win the championship. All right, just ask LeBron about how life was against the Spurs and the Mavericks back when he couldn't shoot too well. It wasn't nice, man. Point blank, it was tough. It was tough, and it's not a good look. Now, hopefully that can turn Greek Freak into the unstoppable player that people believe that he can become, because that's the last piece of his game. Usually it's, you know, it's traumatics and serious events that alter someone to improve or stop a bad habit. And this year's playoffs may just be that. Now, thanks once again for all the love, and definitely, you know, click that subscribe button along with the bell for more updates. And you already know, never be mad at me, be mad at yourself for being an underachiever. Play it out.